Good morning, my lovely friends. I am, as I mentioned in my earlier video, back in my little magical enchanted forest Soulprint Temple Studio, having a lovely sip of coffee. Not 100% back in my coffee swing. I went for quite a few months almost not drinking coffee. Just got out of the flow. I didn't have all my equipment. And I guess I've become a little bit of a, God, it sounds horrible, but from the wrong perspective, I guess a snob and an elitist when it comes to coffee. But it's not that. It's just certain coffee that I used to like. Now I just can't drink, and I'd rather not drink it than drink it. So I got back and I found, excuse me, where did I put it? Well, I found a couple of things. I'll take you on a little tour. Number one, got this lovely, lovely tray. There's not the right lighting on it at the moment, but it's got these lovely gold leaf bits on it, which are fantastic. And this is going to be my tray that I want my clients to have their beverages on and stuff while they're being tattooed. I'm just tweaking my Soulprint experience here, here and there for my client and myself, of course, because the better I perform, the better I do. So on top of here going is a double wick candle, Palo Santo. So I had to grab that. And oh, what was I gonna show you? Shit. See, I shouldn't have stalled. Back in my little area where my wash basin is, my speakers, my kitchen stove and stuff. I'm in the middle of now my final stage of setting up my, my studio is putting all my tattoo equipment away. I've got a Love Sweet Rose candle there. That's another addition. I got some oracle cards, a couple of wooden words, dream and love. I felt I could just add a little more energy to the room, and I would. Oh yeah, I got. I've done a lot of thinking about my year projection. Here, I'll explain this as well. This is just a little contraption where I can work at a mini desk, painting, drawing, whatever. So I'm working on my miniaturized setups for doing my art where I can. So I can do tiny wood carving in here if I have the right fan and filter that sucks all the dust out. And then I can do tiny painting as long as it's not oil painting, of course. And so I've really, really looked into things. I've had some great experiences in the last, well, since the new year, over the winter, that caused me to reevaluate a lot of things. I was planning on having a gallery show in October, and a show that in some way showed my processing of my whole situation with my soulmate Raven. And a whole bunch of stuff has changed. I've prioritized a few things, so it's knocking any kind of gallery show idea off into the future. But for stuff that I felt was way more important, like super, super important. I've got a bunch of things not so fun to do. Like I've got to clean out my trailer that I lived in for a year and sell that, my RV trailer. I've got to just do general reorganizing, cleaning up. I had 2 Shelter Logic container tents and one other one. They're over the last 2 years, they've all collapsed and recollapsed and stuff. So as far as I know, I'm going to get myself, finally, the shipping containers have come down in price a little bit. So I'm going to get one that I can lock up, and that will become my place to start organizing and storing the things I'm going to keep, so then it can leave in my shed the stuff I'm going to throw out and sell. So this is kind of my less romantic stuff I've got to do this summer, is get all that stuff out of the way, cleaned up, ideally for the new year. That's a lot to take on for one season, but I'm going to give it a go because I'm just determined. And then on the side, besides doing my soul prints wherever I am, I have still some time beginning of June in Fergus for people that want to book. I filled up in Bellwood, right near Fergus, in a day. So I opened up another area close by, and so now that's available. I'll be announcing it today as well as this video. But I'm thinking, I'm going back to, I was planning on writing my book and adding that to my show, like a book release. And this is a book, not my life story, but this is a small book, kind of something you might carry around with you on my whole approach to Soulprint tattooing. And I can tell it's got to be a priority because it just feels that way when I talk about it with myself even. And the bigger gallery show idea has kind of softened, and this is more intense. I still want to do some kind of pumpkin related thing in October. I was going to say October 31st. I got some plans for that still, but what my focus is going to be is on writing my book this winter. So that will be the new year. Writing my book, and my little setup that I just showed you is for doing illustrations for the book. I'm going way back to some techniques that I once used quite a lot with airbrushing, pen and ink, pencil, whatever, scratch board, clay board, that sort of thing. If anyone that knows that sort of stuff, I'm going to go back into that world. When I think about my book and I think about my illustrations, I want them to be, well, the illustrations that drew me in as a child and really filled me, imbued me with a sense of magic and wonder and mystery, and anything was possible and everything was possible. And I loved that kind of children's book, and I really do feel that we never really grow old. We are children inside whatever age of a body we're in at that time. And of course, as anyone knows who studied a bit of Buddhism or anything, it's part of the trap, our illusion that we're caught in, that's largely set up by our perception of time. And I know way back reading, I even have the book here, Goethe. Most people don't know anything about Goethe, or they've just heard the name, they don't know why. Usually you've heard a little quote by him. He's a scientist from a way back during Newton's time, and just like Tesla and Watts, Watts were winning out because of the money behind him, and Tesla because he wanted people to have free energy, so it wasn't backed by money. I see Goethe and Newton as being in a similar situation. Two scientists, two different approaches to science, what they call science, and back then science and philosophy were woven in together. I've read a book by Henri Bortoft, who's a Goethean scientist, and it's a thick book, but it is, and dense, but it is absolutely wonderful. I've read it 3 times, and I've got the book again to read it over and over. Every time I read it, I get more out of it. But Goethe, anyways, in a nutshell, Goethe did not see nature as something able to be dissected, to be learned about, as Newton suggested, and of course that's what we've embraced. And Newton said, or Goethe said, that if we go Newton's direction, dissecting things, we will create a bigger schism between us and nature. In other words, an illusion that we are separate from nature, and that will not do anything good for us and will eventually destroy the planet. Well, you guys tell me, was he fairly accurate? Well, should we not kind of jump back into perhaps Goethe's approach to science and just rework everything over time? I don't know. That's what I would do, but I'm not everyone. I could go on about Goethe, but I'm not, because it's just too much. But anyone that's interested, I highly recommend. It's called The Wholeness of Nature by Henri Bortoft. All about Goethe's approach to science, and how Goethe perceived that we actually perceive a dead moment. Just from what I understand, second delay of our time it takes to process something with our senses, it's already gone, according to him. And I really relate to that. There's something to it. Definitely, most of us see that something to time as an illusion. Anyone getting a soul print or having a soul print experience knows the extreme distortion of time. We might be sitting for 4 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever, hypothetically speaking, and at the end of the session it feels like it was 2 hours. That's very, very common. And I find most people who are well acquainted with any kind of ceremony or ritual, depending if it's something sacred, as opposed to, say, brushing your teeth, it does have that tendency to distort time. And I always found that interesting, and intriguing, and perhaps a clue or something. But there's just so much excitement to be had. And, you know, from my personal experience, or experiences, anything seems to come at me with a challenge. If I meet it the best I can, over time, it's always going to come with some kind of gift or silver lining. If I'm able to, or willing to, and able to perceive it and be ready to accept it. Just something that I'm far from mastering, I'll tell you that much. But it does feel quite true, and the better I get at practicing this, definitely the softer the ups and downs seem to be. So there we have it. Oh my God, why did I just talk for 12 minutes? And did I even have a sip of my coffee? It's still acceptably warm, but getting towards that point where I'd want to reheat it or something. That's sacrilegious, I know. Anyways, I'm gonna probably have to put this on YouTube or something. Anyways, folks, just overall announcement that I'm here. And I got all those cool new plans in store. Stay tuned for that book and the illustrations. It's really exciting me quite a lot. It's something I've been working on, planning in here, and some on paper at different times in my life, for a good 20 years, but more seriously in the last 5 or 6 or 7. And it's basically just going to be what I found, what my clients have found, in their experiences, that I can put together with a little bit of guidance and insight that I've gained over the years doing this. 40 years of developing this style, technique, approach, philosophy. And to be honest, it's, I can say from my experience, it keeps me going. When I've had really difficult challenges like the last few years, meeting with my friends, my clients, for Soulprint sessions has for sure helped them, but it's also helped me. It's given me, it gives me a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose. I love helping people, and it gives me that core experience. And it gives me the opportunity to consistently welcome people into my studio, or wherever I'm using at the time, what location, and creating an experience that I feel is the best that my integrity and love can provide. And when people leave with a bigger energy and bigger smile, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel whole and happy in my heart. And so the idea of putting together my book, really, it's a little intimidating, writing a book. I haven't written a book before, but overall I get to share something very intimate to me and my friends and clients. And then the idea of the illustrations is very exciting as well. I've got to kind of reteach myself a bit, reconnect with an old technique or some old techniques that I used to use. Pull together the equipment. I've got a bunch of air compressors, but they're a bit big for in here, so my sister's lent me a very small one that I get to check out and see if it's going to be adequate. So yeah, lots of excitement. When I go to Guelph, Fergus, Bellwood in June, I've lined it up with a wood burning workshop that I'm taking at a carving place called Chipping Away in Waterloo, and that's excited me as well. It's just some art form that I haven't ever really dived into, except for when I was a kid, when I had a wood burning kit. I remember it very well. And so I'm taking that also just as a social thing. And I've lined that up with 2 weeks of work out there. So for those of you that I will be hanging out with, that is really exciting for me. And my friends who have made it possible, who are so wonderful enough to offer me their studio space to work out of and stay at. It's gonna be a lot of fun back in my old haunt. I get to visit my mom and my sister and do my workshop and pick up any supplies that I need. That's always good too. But overall, just welcoming in this wonderful summer that's coming our way. And I think I'm going to have a very creative, hardworking, but very creative summer with such great potential. And I really look forward to all my friends that I'm going to be meeting with, whether it's for a Soulprint or just hanging out for a tea. Just looking forward to such a good summer, and a summer where I'm going to get a lot done. And I'm sure a lot of you might be in a similar situation. It always seems that when I get into a certain mode or mood, I find out that a lot of other people are being called towards the same kind of energy or dynamic, which always reminds me that quite possibly I'm never on 100% unique path at each moment, that quite often they are very strongly influenced by whatever else is going on in the world, and how much we are most likely very connected in ways that we have no idea of. I am sure, because I've always said that every time someone comes in for a soul print, their topic that's so important to them always ends up being something that I'm needing to work through as well at that time. Maybe not as deep as theirs, but there's something rooted in there for me. A good example would be the pine cone that I did on a client not too long ago on the elbow, and gosh, did I ever know I needed to revisit the energy and meaning and symbolism of the pine cone. And I learned a whole bunch more from my last time visiting it, so that was very cool too. So I find the universe communicates in very mysterious ways, and through quite often through my clients, or at least through the interactions that I have with my clients. Those I'll call them waves or currents. Going back to my whitewater canoeing days when I was young, it's very much the same, except for they're not visual the same, they're more of a feeling. Oh gosh, it's 19 minutes. I think I'm gonna stop this video chat any second now. Have my last sip of coffee and wish you guys oh, look at that. Now it looks like it's my name, but letters backwards, of course. But wishing all you guys a wonderful day, wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.